Hey everyone, welcome into Hey Hana. I am Hannah Ostapchuk. I'm so happy to be talking to you guys. I'm taking a pause from all of the craziness and sitting down and just having a quick chat. I'm like so excited about this. I'm sitting in my bedroom on the floor. If you're watching this, I'm in Florida. I'm in my childhood bedroom, actually. So funny. I'm sure there's lots of weird things in the background that you can see, but you know how it goes. I'm wearing a shirt that I found in like the back of the drawer of a dresser that's been here since 2001. So that's always fun. Why does that happen when you come home? I always do that thing where I'm like, I have so much stuff at home. I'm just gonna I'll go through whatever I have. I have t-shirts at home, whatever. And then you get there, and if you were to see how much my belly is sticking out of the shirt right now, let's just say I'm hiding it on purpose, okay? I'm trying not to be a truck driver for you guys. So, okay, on this episode, because we're like coming in right at the start of the holidays, I wanted to do an episode that was about setting the tone for the holidays and that thing of when you're not really enjoying a ton, but you want to enjoy the holidays, right? I feel like there's a thing for that. I know that I lived most of my life disliking the holidays. You know, everybody always was like, my favorite holiday is Christmas. And I love Christmas. It's great. But I fully knew in my 20s and even in my teens, I was like, I'm not going to like this until I have kids and like the focus is on them. Because, if you're a child of divorce, you get it. Holidays are crazy. You're running around, you're doing everything for everyone, and you got to like hit all of those things. Even if you're in that season where like you have kids and your in-laws are over here and your parents are over here and your great uncle's over there and you want to go hang out with your friends or your cousins and you're just like all over the map. Sometimes that happens where there's just so much to do, so many people to please, and it gets a little exhausting. And I always had the attitude of like, I want to enjoy the holidays, but I'm not actually enjoying them. Like, I want to get them over with type thing. So I wanted to pop on and talk about the whole genre of like, you don't have to love the holidays to let them pass peacefully. You know what I mean? And like how to help yourself mentally fully enjoy them, even when you're like, all right, let's get the show on the road type thing. Quick life update. Like I said, I'm sitting in my childhood bedroom floor. I don't know why. I'm just a floor person. I don't know if you guys are like this. I like sitting on the floor. I think it's much easier. You put the laptop on the table. There you go. Getting up from the floor, it's another thing, but you guys don't have to see that. I'm in Florida. I'm in a deep wedding prep. We're coming close. And I'm in this strange in-between of having so much excitement, also just like a handful of exhaustion. I think like a few weeks ago, it was just like a little sprinkle of exhaustion. And now we're coming in with a whole handful. I go for a walk now because, it's Florida. And of course, I'm going to go for lots of walks in this beautiful weather. And it hurts sometimes. Sometimes I'm on like mile 2 and I'm like, why does everything hurt? It's such a strange thing. So I'm nearing the end of my second trimester. For any moms out there, I'm entering like 27 weeks now. So it feels insane that I'm at the end of the second trimester and I'm at that stage where you feel the baby all the time and it's the most magical, coolest thing ever, but it's also getting slightly uncomfortable. Like there's new things that just happen. New fun things, I'm getting nosebleeds every day, and I won't go into all the mom stuff, but it's a humbling experience. It's really quite funny. I've been saying this since first trimester. I feel like I could grow a tail or like turn into an avatar and people would be like, yep, that's pregnancy. Like the craziest things happen and people are just like, yep, that's part of it. That's what happens. So we're here. I'm hungry all the time, but yet I can't eat as much as I want to because I feel like I don't have enough room. Like especially by the evenings, this is something I need to keep in mind for my wedding. Like I love to eat a lot in the mornings because in the evenings, it feels like my stomach is in my throat. Like I can't eat anything else, but I go to bed feeling hungry. It's wild. Again, you guys, this such a journey, a very humbling journey. Like I said, one thing that I find quite interesting was I had to pack, obviously, from Wisconsin to come to Florida, and I had to pack for my wedding. Does anyone talk about this? Packing for your own wedding? It's a crazy concept. Packing in general when you're pregnant is, I think, quite comical because it's a little discombobulated to begin with. But packing for your wedding, I'm carrying my wedding dress on the planes, and I was wearing like a tight shirt trying to show that I was pregnant, so people would like let me hang my dress in the front of the plane. You know what I mean? That didn't work, by the way, but that's okay. Onward and upward. But yeah, packing for your own wedding. Let me know if you guys have done that. I find that to be such an interesting niche because I made a list. Like I made a full list of all of the things that were floating around in this brain for months and months. You got to bring this, you got to get that, you got to get the shoes, you got to make sure. All I thought was, okay, if I have the dress and the shoes, I can't screw up anything else, right? Like as long as I have those two things, everything else will be hunky dory. But funny enough, prenatals were the first thing on my list. Guess what I forgot? I'm like calling Peter. I'm like, okay, when you get to town, you have to bring my prenatals because I forgot them. I somehow forgot all of my vitamins. But I have the dress and I have the shoes, so everything else is totally fine. But yeah, I also somehow did pack like 4 pairs of heels for like a just in case moment, which is hilarious because like, what am I doing? What am I thinking? I'm not going to be putting heels on to go run around town. But a girl can dream. There's always a million things you want to do when the weather's nice and all your people are coming to town. And it's like, I dream of all these scenarios where I'm like, Hannah, like New Year's, I'm sure I'm just going to be barefoot somewhere. It doesn't matter. At a friend's house. So that brings me to my next question, actually. Excuse me, I'm taking a sip of my coffee. Curious, are you guys more of like a holidays are there person or a holidays are here person? Because obviously packing for your wedding is one thing, but packing for the holidays is something I have done my whole life. I always come to Florida for the holidays. I always go to where my parents live for any big holiday, and I haven't lived near them in years. So I have an envy for people who don't travel a ton during the holidays. It's good to go and it's good to come back. I always say that. My granny used to say that. But yeah, my brothers don't live in Florida either. So we all come home and we go back into the space where we all are like living in our childhood versions of ourselves. We all have our little quarters of the house and we all have our little habits that we jump into that we used to have when we left the house. But it's like, it's such a funny ism. I sometimes wonder what life would be like if we all we're living in the same place and then you just like pop over for dinner and then you go back to your own quarters. It's like it's a funny time. And this is one of my favorite times to be on social media and on TikTok is when I see all of these like really relatable things about what it's like going back to your parents' house for the holidays. I feel like all of millennials and Gen Z really come together in this moment to talk about what it's like to go back to your parents' house, because it's always fun and it's always entertaining in so many ways. I'm very grateful for it. Again, I haven't lived here in years, but I'm so happy I have a beautiful place to come back to. And who knows, maybe that'll change in life. Maybe next year I'll be the one hosting and everyone will come to me, but I kind of doubt it. Also, one last thing I want to bring up. If you're watching on YouTube right now, I have short red nails. This is my favorite nail color. I want to say it's my signature color, but it's not because I stole it from one of my best girlfriends, Kendra. It's her signature color. It's a gel color and it's called Big Apple Red. It's my favorite color. I think it's so flattering on everyone. Kendra and I have like very different skin tones and it looks great on her. I think it looks fun on me. And I'm curious, is it crazy pants if I decide to do like a short red nail for a wedding? I'm kind of thinking about keeping it. Everyone's like, you gotta do the Hailey Bieber glaze Krispy Kreme. I don't know what it's called. The French manicures and all the pale pinks and the bridal looks and all of that stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. I think I kind of like doing this. And I feel like it's kind of fun for winter, But also, let me know if you think I'm going to regret this because I have no idea. I'm only using half of my brain at this stage. So we're going to figure that out. But I'm kind of thinking I might keep him. Okay, anyways, let's jump into the big topic that we wanted to discuss today. So, talking a little bit about how to move through the holidays when you sort of want to get it over with and you're not really looking forward to the idea of celebrating and doing all of the stuff. Sometimes it's like you're looking forward to only a piece of that puzzle and not the whole thing. I talk so much about how being chronically single was like my entire personality. And it really, really was. The fact that it's not a part of me anymore is still confusing. Like I still have whiplash from my whole life changing. But that being said, that season of life where I was chronically single, every holiday year, I would have this dread about the holidays because I was like, oh, it's another year where my birthday's in January also, so it makes it feel really full circle. So I'm like, oh, it's another year where I don't have a boyfriend. I don't have someone that I'm talking to sort of lift my spirits this time of year. I don't know what it is, but it always felt like a big old punch when I didn't have anyone that I was talking to or anything that I was super excited about on the relationship front when it came to Christmas time. I don't know if you guys feel that way at all. And maybe it's just that you feel like you're in a season where you're not where you want to be, period. You know, you are in a great relationship, you have a family, whatever it looks like, but you're still in this waiting season for something else. And it's a little bit of like, okay, I can't believe December's here and I gotta, pull out all of the trumpets and the circus and have all these celebrations and host family. And it's like, you just don't want to do it. You just don't have the energy for it this year. I totally understand that. So, talking about moving through the holidays when it's a little hard and you still want to protect your peace in this time because you're off of work and you want to enjoy it. So, the first thing I'm going to say here, and this is like so obvious, and please don't roll your eyes at me. Or do, actually. I don't care. Totally fine. We always hear that comparison is the thief of joy. And in the holidays, I think it feels a little bit sharper. I have to look at that sentence with a microscope because it's something you hear your whole life. If when you compare yourself, it takes away your own happiness, all that stuff. But in the holidays, it feels like it's just a little sharper. It pulls you out of your own life. It doesn't only just make you unhappy, it enables you to lose your focus entirely on your joy and any joy that you brought into your season. My brother and I were talking about this recently because my older brother's single and he talked about how he doesn't want to come to my wedding single. He was like something he really didn't want. And I totally get it. There were so many weddings. All of my cousins are married and it was pretty much all of my cousins' weddings. I gave a mental deadline of like, okay, Hannah, have a date to that one, have a date to that one. I missed every one. I went to all of them single. So we were sort of talking about it and he was saying how he doesn't understand the point of holiday cards anymore because we're all on social media and we're all looking at each other's families and all of that all the time. So he's like, why do we need to send each other photos of our perfect families when it's in my face all the time and I have to see them all the time looking perfect, and that's the thing that I want. And I totally understand that mentality. First of all, I love holiday cards. I really love them. And I get like slightly offended when my friends don't send them to me. I'm like, hello. But at the same time, he has a point, right? We're always looking at each other's stuff. We're always looking at each other's happy families. And sometimes it's like those holiday cards can be that subtle reminder that social media is. It's like everyone looks settled, everything looks finished and perfect. Everyone's got their stockings with all the names engraved and all the stuff. And suddenly I'm back into my own head and I'm questioning my own timeline, questioning my choices and my pace. And it's like you have to stop and remind yourself you're only seeing the highlights of these people. Of course, I'm sure everything's great with everyone, but they probably look at your life and think the same thing. You're not looking at the stress, the grief that people are going through, any of the private chaos that people are going through within their own families and their own homes. It just seems like comparison is so much louder over the holidays. You see everyone and, you catch up. Even if you're just going to the bars and you're catching up with old friends that you haven't seen in a few years, you run into so-and-so. Sometimes it's like, oh, what have you been up to? Oh, yeah, we moved. Or, oh, yeah, I started my new job. Or, oh yeah, I finally got that car. And then you're just like, ugh, yeah, I don't have the thing that I'm like super excited about. Just remember that those are the bullet points and people purposefully don't tell the truth in those scenarios, And some people do. Those people are great. The people who are like, yeah, no, I'm hating this. I want this to go by. I secretly love you. But yeah, just remember that the comparison factor is much louder over the holidays, and it's designed to be that way. The holidays is when everyone goes to church, everyone goes to the parties. You have those annual Christmas parties, and you sort of dread running into the same people over and over again. I remember there was a time in my life where I was living in Fort Lauderdale, and I told everyone I knew. I was actually talking to this guy, and I sort of like a soft breakup. I don't know how I should phrase that if we weren't actually like full on dating, but we were talking and I remember I told him like, I don't want to see you anymore because I'm going to move to New York. And then I proceeded to run into him all the time. By the way, I could not move to New York. I was having obvious setbacks because that's what happens in life. But I broke up with him fully intending on being like, sorry, I'm going to move to New York in the next like month or two. I didn't end up moving to New York for like another 2-3 years. And by the time I moved, by the way, I think he was married, which is so funny. But anyways, my point is like, you have to then go face the people that you've talked about these things with, or they know the desires of your heart with. And sometimes it can be a little shameful, but at the same time, it's like, you have to remember that nobody's looking at your life with the same microscope that you are. Any comparison like really takes the fun out of the moment. So if you're having those moments where you're like, you get the holiday card or you see the Instagram where you're like, oh my God, I just want this life already. Like I want to be doing that already. Okay, I'm going to try to explain this one thought, but this is something that's always helped me is that I believe, and I don't know if this is crazy, but I've always believed that the things that you really want in life, you're given those desires because you were designed to get them. Does that make sense? I didn't like wake up and think, I really want to go to space. I really want to go to space. I've never once in my life, I mean, I haven't even been to like Montana. Like there's so many things I want to do on Earth. I don't want to go to space, but I digress. I think a lot of people work for a certain goal and they have this huge desire for that goal. And I think that we were given that desire because we are meant to fulfill it. The timing will just not align with what we thought the timing would be. And it's always the case. The timing is never on point. But yeah, I always told myself that, like, since I was a little girl, I wanted to get married and I wanted to have kids. And then when you hit even in my teens, when I didn't have a boyfriend, all my 20s, I didn't have a boyfriend. In my 30s, I didn't have a boyfriend. I remember thinking, am I insane? Is this ever going to happen? Like, am I ever going to find someone? And that's where the comparison would come in and sort of eat me alive. But I had to remind myself, I wasn't given that like, oh, I want this for no reason. And I don't know if this makes any sense. I might be speaking gibberish, but I believe that we all have certain desires because we are meant to fulfill them in some capacity. Now, there's some things that come and go, and not everything will fit into the category of what I just explained. I also wanted to be Britney Spears in 1997, but that one retired, thankfully. But I think the true desires of your heart, I always think that like God is such a good God and he will fulfill them. And that's just where I got a little bit of peace over the holiday season. And speaking of peace, I'm going to move on to my second one because I'm rambling here. Guarding your peace. You have to treat your off time like this is your time off of work. This is your time to do all of those holiday routines that you actually love. You have to guard it like it's something you're responsible for. This is the thing that I need to take my own advice for because I am so bad at it. This season will take as much as you let it take. For example, when I come home to Florida, I always struggle with all my friends and family are here. I grew up here. I want to see everyone I know and then some. I want to like run into the kid I haven't seen from when I graduated high school and I want to catch up with him. Like I always want to do the things. And then when I get there, I'm then so upset with myself because I made too many plans and I have no time to relax and I am exhausted and overworked and I didn't even go get the gift that I needed to get for that party and yada, yada, yada. It doesn't end. But I've learned a lot from some of my close girlfriends. When we now get into town, because a lot of us live away, when we now get into town, some of us, we won't even tell each other because it's like, I love you. I'll see you in a few days. I need time to recoup from just life and, getting here and traveling and getting set up for the holidays and the whole thing. So guarding your peace really means taking it like a responsibility. It's like a work responsibility or a school responsibility. Leaving the party that you don't want to be at. Leave early. You say you're going to leave early because you're so tired and you have a million things to do the next morning. Just leave. You can leave without explaining yourself. I actually pride myself, by the way, at being really good at leaving parties. It's something my friends made fun of me for doing for years in my 20s. And now I'm like, all right, guys, you caught up. Now we're all going home early. But it also means like choosing your comfort over performance because that's a huge part of seeing everyone and walking around and working the room and feeling like, okay, I got to go see them and talk to them or, oh, I have to make those cookies this year. I make them every year. I was just talking to my cousin about this. She has 2 little kids. There's also like Spirit Week this week for a lot of the kids. Her kids are in 2 different schools because they're 2 different ages. So one has to wear an ugly sweater. The other one has to wear fuzzy socks. And she's like, Hannah, I have deadlines at work. She's trying to do all this stuff for the family. And then some of my wedding stuff, I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It's one of those things where you have to find time to do the thing that you want to do and protect it. Protect your peace. Schedule a night where you're like, we're going to watch my favorite Christmas movie tonight. We're going to eat my favorite Christmas cookies. By the way, my favorite Christmas movie of all time has always been The Family Stone. Everyone's really big on it this year. It's going to be a real tough watch with Diane Keaton having left us too soon, but it's truly the greatest movie. I'm looking forward to watching it with my mom like we do every year. But stay at home and put on your favorite comfort movie. It doesn't even have to be a Christmas movie. Or you could do the opposite. Put a dress on. Have a glass of wine. Go sit outside. Go for a walk. Go to your friend's house. Do the thing that doesn't make sense on paper, but it helps your nervous system like exhale. And it's a note to yourself. I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this one thing for me. There was a year where I was stuck in New York for Christmas and I had to stay there. I couldn't get off of work. And if I did come home, I would have been coming home for like less than 24 hours. And I remember thinking, it's just not worth it. I shouldn't spend the money. I should just stay here. When I tell you, I was so freaking miserable. And I tried to stay busy because that was my way of like healing. I didn't want to face being alone, you know? So I just filled my calendar. Anyone who was around, I was getting dinners, I was getting drinks. And then Christmas Day, I remember I sat with one of my former colleagues who also couldn't leave, Fran. Fran, I love you so much. I think I got a huge plate of cookies, of Italian Christmas cookies. And we watched the Muppets Christmas movie, which, by the way, I didn't grow up watching that movie. So I felt like I was watching drugs. I was like, what is this movie? It's a really funny memory now to look back on. But I remember I was like, I have to get the plate of Italian Christmas cookies because I didn't have any of my mom's or granny's cookies that year. I was like, I need this. So, but that was the thing I did for myself, even though it didn't make sense. It wasn't smart, wasn't healthy, that's for sure. But I was like, I don't care. I just have to do this. And I have to sit on the couch and just exist for a few hours, you know? Instead of working and instead of trying to fill my calendar to like fill this void that I was feeling. But yeah, it's hard because I think a lot of times we expect the holidays to be a time where things die down and I'll have some time to relax or whatever. But remember, your peace is not passive, right? Like your peace is something you have to actively protect. So you have to almost put it in your calendar of like, okay, on Tuesday, 2:00, I'm going upstairs and I'm going to lie down. Nobody's going to bother me because I'm off of work and my stuff is done. I'm going to take a nap. Or Tuesday, 2:00, I'm going to go see Wicked. Whatever you want to do. But I think that's a good thing to work in to this season. And this brings me to my next point of the fact that the holidays are a pressure cooker. It's pressure cooker season, folks. It always is. They come with a very specific kind of pressure. You know, be joyful, be on, bake that thing, bring it to us, come to our party. Well, you have to wear the newest outfit because you have to get a cute picture of the family and all of the stuff that makes me feel like I'm losing my mind. I always think it's funny. You have pressure to like not only look good to stuff, and that's the fun part. Like sometimes, you know, it's fun to like pick an outfit and whatever. But sometimes the day of, you're like, I don't want to do this. Oh my gosh, I just want to sit here. I don't want to go to this party. So then you have the pressure to look good, show up on time, show up with all the things that you needed for that party, and then to like feel grateful and feel joyful when you're there and like not plan on leaving early. And then you get home from those things, and then you're suddenly replaying all of the little tiny things that happened and questioning yourself. Okay, now maybe you're not doing that, but I'm a little crazy, so that's what I do. I'll be like, oh, when I said that thing, I hope that they didn't think that I meant that I was insulting their whatever. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about, and then I'll think, was my outfit too much? Was it not enough? Was I not dressed up enough? You're suddenly replaying all of these things in your mind. But the best part to remember about pressure cooker season is that everybody is doing their best and everybody is in this season where they're thinking about themselves and their own goals. So they're like not even worried if you said something or didn't bring the thing or left early. Pressure doesn't make the season meaningful. It just makes it feel really heavy. So try to find those little nuggets to take the pressure off of you. Okay, the last thing I'm going to say, because I'm going to wrap this up here. The last thing I wanted to say about the holiday season in general, and if you're feeling a little down during this time, is to remember that this is just a season. I want to scream this from the rooftop sometimes. This is temporary. Everything you're doing is temporary. It is not everything. It is not your whole life. It's not your whole story. In fact, sometimes it's not even part of your story. It's a blip on the radar. And if you feel like you're not where you want to be, or you didn't do the things you wanted to do this year, you have to remember that you are so not behind. We were not meant to solve our entire lives by December. Like, we were not meant to have everything figured out by the end of the year. I even sometimes like cringe at those videos that are like the montages of all the things you did this year. 'Cause it's great. Like, good for you. And I mean that. Honestly, good for you. I think that's really cool. I rarely feel that way. I rarely feel like, awesome, I did all this stuff. Yay. Cool. I'm mostly just like exhausted and I want to go to bed. We have to remember that we're allowed to let this season pass without feeling like we have to really tackle it or really master it, you know? It's so not about that. I think the temporary season is something that always brings me peace, because life is full of weird, wonky seasons. Life is also full of beautiful seasons, and you will get all of it. We all do. Like, we all get all of it. So it's just embracing the season that you're in and knowing, okay, this isn't going to be my forever. And, this isn't my like destination season. This isn't your new life. This is just like a few days where you're hanging out with the family and you're going to get through it. So yeah, I hope this wasn't like a super ramble episode. I just wanted to remind everyone that if you are someone who, like me, quietly hated the holidays, there are ways to let them pass peacefully, and it's all just like mental gymnastics to get through it all. And there's this like weird glittery crystal ball that everyone markets as the holidays, and we somehow feel like we need to fit the bill of celebrating that crystal ball, when it's like, no, screw your stupid crystal ball. I just want to go home and like chill. I just want to relax. I want to see my people. I want to be in the sun. Whatever your family is doing, there's always one or two things you can look forward to doing, Remember that comparison is a thief of joy, even though it's really cheesy. Guard your peace like it's a deadline you have to do at work. Like, take it seriously. Remember that this is a pressure cooker season, and then it's all temporary. Before we leave, by the way, I do have a Hey Hana submission. I'm going to read a question I got in just recently. I'm trying to get into the habit of checking these questions. But if you guys ever have any questions for me, please submit them at the link in my Instagram bio, or the same link is on my website, hannahostapchuk.com. But if you go there, I have a little hotline where you can write something in. But if you guys want to DM me, that also works too. I'm happy to answer questions there. I'm going to get better at staying organized and finding some of these. All right, so here's what I got. It just said, "Hey, Hannah, I'm loving your podcast so far." Oh, thank you so much. It honestly feels like, oh, this is so nice. It feels like I'm catching up with one of my besties whenever I tune in. I'm in my mid-20s and feeling a little lost in how to express my identity outwardly. Oh, interesting. I've been struggling to define my personal style, feel put together, and show more of me and my personality on the outside. Okay, I totally get this. Listening to you and following you on Instagram, it seems like you're in tune with yourself, and I admire that so much. I'd be wondering if you would be open to sharing more of your own journey on finding yourself and stepping into yourself. Wow. Okay. Thank you so much for the compliment, by the way. That's so kind. I have a really strange piece of advice for this. I don't even know if this is the right direction, but I just immediately thought of this. I feel like you have to redo something in your life. It sounds cheesy, but like, oh my gosh, my phone background is actually pretty embarrassing if I really look at it. It's a collage of 6 photos that I put together probably 4 years ago. And I redo it every 3-4 years, but it's like a vision board. And some of the stuff is on it. Like, there's a photo of Priyanka Chopra on there. Like, I don't love her or anything. It's just she's on the cover of this particular magazine it's something I've always admired, and I just think it's cool. I have like families on there. Like, it's very specific. And every time people see my phone, like sitting on a coffee table or like sitting at a bar, they're like, "Why do you have Priyanka Chopra on your phone?" And I'm like, "Oh, sorry. It's like my little vision board." And I just frickin' own it. But okay, yeah, finding your light. I would say the thing, I just went off on a tangent about my cell phone, but I do think that creating a little vision board would actually be a great idea. It makes you feel like, okay, this is me. This is what I want right now. This is who I am creatively. And so it just gives you a sense of power, but also redoing something helps. So redoing your bedroom, painting a wall, redoing the way your bed is set up and like some of the sheets and getting new pillows. It sounds silly, but I think that when you decide to express yourself in a different way and find things that you love and you have to shop for something new, like it almost helps rejigger this confidence in your head of like, yeah, that's who I am and that's who I want to be. I want people to see that and see me. Another strange example I have is like get a new phone case. Get a phone case that you love and that you think actually shows part of your personality. A silly one, but I do think that could work. When I was single living in New York, I had a yellow phone case that I thought was, I don't know why, but I found my identity in that yellow phone case. Yellow was the color of my childhood wall. So I felt like it was like this part of my childhood self that I was expressing outwardly. I know a lot of people actually take their phone and they put a photo of themselves, like a childhood photo in their phone. That's another great thing to do. If there's a photo of you as a kid that you love, or maybe you don't love and you think it's kind of funny, you should own it and make it your phone background or slip it into like a clear phone case on the back of your phone right here. I think stuff like that, like sneaky helps getting in tune with your childhood self. But yeah, so I would say create something, create a vision board, create a playlist for your drives, or your commute, your walk, and create a playlist for the month of December. All this like silly stuff, I would do that because it'll make you feel like, okay, I'm choosing this and this is my vibe right now. And if it's something that you can show outwardly, it always helps like rejigger that thing in your brain that gives you the confidence of your sense of self. So again, even if something simple as like your phone background or your phone case, like choose fun things that feel like show your personality. And then when people ask you about it, it's so fun to share it and be like, yeah, I did this. I love purple or I love horses. And so I wanted to do this. Like it could be anything. But I think having that confidence of something so little helps in turn with any larger confidence or any feeling of finding your light and stepping into yourself. It's all just baby steps of doing that. You got to fake it till you make it when it comes to finding yourself, because we're all still figuring it out, by the way. Like none of us know what we're doing. There's so many seasons where you look back and you're like, what was I doing then? What was I thinking? But it's like, oh, you were trying something new and that's so cool. A lot of people get a haircut too. You could do that. Go rogue, get a bob or oh, now I'm rambling. Anyways, I won't say your name, but thank you so much for writing into Hey Hana. I love it so much. If you guys have any more questions, like please feel free to submit them. I promise I'll get better at finding them and reading them at the end of every episode. Thank you so much for listening. And if I don't do another episode before the holidays, I love you dearly. And I hope you all enjoy this season of peace and finding your peace in this time. And I can't wait for 2026. I'm so excited. What a fun year it's going to be. And by the way, the best part about the holidays is them being over and celebrating all of the good stuff that comes with a whole new year and a new beginning. Let's freaking go. But thanks so much for listening, and I hope to talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.